What does it take to silence the doubters in the city of brotherly love? For Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles, it's a performance so electric, it could light up Lincoln Financial Field. Welcome to your Eagles news update for October 20th, 2025, where we're breaking down a thrilling 28-22 victory over the Minnesota Vikings in Week 7. Eagles fans, you're going to want to stick around for this one. Jalen Hurts just reminded everyone why he's the heartbeat of this team. Let's dive in. Picture this. Jalen Hurts jogs into the locker room, a fire in his eyes, and lets out a rallying cry that echoes through Philly's soul. We ain't finna losers no more. After back-to-back losses to the Denver Broncos and New York Giants, the Eagles were staring down a critical moment. A 5-2 record was on the line against a tough Vikings squad led by former Eagle Carson Wentz. But Hurts, he wasn't just playing, he was performing. The man delivered a perfect 158.3 passer rating, only the third in Eagles history, joining legends Donovan McNabb and Nick Foles. That's right, folks, this was a game for the history books. Hurts torched the Vikings defense, throwing for 326 yards on 19 of 23 passes, with 3 touchdowns. His connection with wide receivers A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith was pure magic. 13 receptions, 304 yards, and 3 scores between them. Brown hauled in a 37-yard touchdown and a 26-yarder, while Smith's 79-yard bomb was a career-defining moment. The Eagles' offense, often criticized for its inconsistency, flipped the script, especially in the second half, where Hurts went 10-for-12 for 240 yards and 2 touchdowns. Talk about clutch. And get this, Philly's now 13-0 when Brown and Smith both find the end zone in the same game. That's not just a stat, that's a legacy in the making. Let's break it down. The Eagles came off a mini-bye week with a revamped game plan, and it showed. Facing Brian Flores' aggressive blitz packages, Hurts stayed cool as ice, making clutch throws under pressure. On a critical 3-RD and 15, he scrambled left and found Devonta Smith for a first down. Later, on a 3-RD and 13, he rolled right and hit A.J. Brown on the sideline for another huge conversion. These weren't just plays, they were statements. Hurts' deep ball was a thing of beauty, going 5-for-5 for 216 yards and 3 touchdowns on passes over 20 yards. As NFL.com put it, he dive-bombed the Vikings defense, turning mismatches into highlight reel moments. But it wasn't just Hurts. The players took ownership. Devonta Smith lobbied for the 79-yard touchdown play, working with lineman Landon Dickerson to get it called. Hurts pushed for more under-center plays, which opened up the passing game. On defense, rookie Ty Robinson spotted a vulnerability in a Vikings lineman's technique, leading to a key sack by Moro Ojomo. This was a team effort, with the players coaching themselves to victory. Left tackle Jordan Mailata summed it up, he's got so much swag. When he's in control, you can see a look in his eye. That's the Jalen Hurts Philly fell in love with. Now, it wasn't all perfect. The running game, still a sore spot. Saquon Barkley managed just 46 yards on 15 carries, and the offensive line struggled, especially after center Cam Jurgens went down with a knee injury. Backup Brett Toth stepped in, but the blocking issues persisted. The Vikings defense deserves credit for bottling up Barkley, but Philly's ground game needs a spark if they want to compete with the NFC's elite. And then there's the defense. While they held the Vikings to 22 points, cornerback Isaiah Rodgers got burned twice on deep balls, exposing vulnerabilities in the secondary. Injuries didn't help, with cornerback Adoree Jackson and another edge rusher going down, leaving the Eagles thin at key positions. This game felt like a throwback to the Eagles' 2017 Super Bowl run, when Nick Foles and company shocked the world. Back then, Philly leaned on a balanced attack and a ferocious defense led by legends like Reggie White and Brian Dawkins in spirit. Hurts' performance against the Vikings evoked memories of Donovan McNabb's 2007 perfect passer rating against the Lions or Foles' 7-touchdown masterpiece in 2013. With a 5-2 record, the Eagles sit atop the NFC East, just ahead of the Dallas Cowboys at 3-3-1 after their dominant win over the Washington Commanders. But the road ahead is tough. Rivalries with the Cowboys and Giants loom large, and Philly's passionate fanbase, known for belting out "Fly Eagles Fly" at the Link, expects nothing less than a deep playoff run. Statistically, Hurts' 20 yards per attempt in the second half was the highest by any quarterback with at least 10 attempts since Kirk Cousins in 2016. The Eagles' second half turnaround was critical. They'd been dead last in yards per play, 3.9, and score percentage, 24%, entering the game. This win wasn't just a W. It was a blueprint for what this offense can be when Hurts, Brown, and Smith are clicking. And let's not forget the historical irony. Carson Wentz, the former Eagles starter, watched his one-time backup steal the show. Talk about poetic justice. Imagine the scene in the Eagles locker room post-game. I caught up with a fictional Eagles superfan, Tommy from South Philly, who was practically screaming, "Jalen's got that dog in him. He's out there throwing dimes like he's got a chip on his shoulder the size of the Liberty Bell." On the coaching side, let's say we got a quote from offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, "Jalen's ability to extend plays and find his playmakers downfield is what makes this offense special. We've got work to do on the ground game, but today showed our potential." Even head coach Nick Sirianni, often under fire for conservative play calling, had to smile. The players took ownership today. Devonta and Jalen made that 79-yarder happen. That's what this team's about, heart and hustle. On the flip side, Vikings fans weren't so thrilled. A fictional Minnesota beat writer, Sarah Olson, told us, "Our defense couldn't stop Hurts' deep shots, and those red zone miscues killed us. Carson Wentz had a chance to be the hero, but turnovers and penalties did us in." The Vikings' 3-3 record and last place standing in the NFC North sting, especially after a winnable game slipped away. Looking ahead, this win could be a turning point, much like last October when the Eagles went on a tear after their bye week, culminating in a Super Bowl appearance. At 5-2, Philly's in prime position to control the NFC East, but injuries are piling up. Cam Jurgens' knee injury is a concern, and the edge rusher depth is razor-thin after another loss against the Vikings. Rumors are swirling that retired defensive end Brandon Graham might return to bolster the line. Graham, a 15-year Eagle and fan favorite, could bring veteran leadership, but is it the right move for a team needing young blood? Our fictional analyst, Dr. Football, weighs in, "Graham's heart is pure Philly, but the Eagles need to address the pass rush through the draft or trades. Short-term, he's a spark. Long-term, they need a plan." The running game remains a puzzle. Saquon Barkley, a former Giant star, was brought in to be a game-changer, but he's been stuck in neutral. With tough matchups against the Cowboys and Giants on the horizon, Philly needs to find balance. If Hurts keeps playing like an MVP, though, this offense could carry them far. Experts predict the Eagles could finish 12-5 if they maintain this momentum, potentially securing a top NFC seed. But in the NFC East, where rivalries run deeper than the Schuylkill River, nothing's guaranteed. Here's a quick Eagles trivia tidbit for you diehards. Did you know the "Fly Eagles Fly" fight song, sung with gusto at every home game, was first performed in 1950? It's been the soundtrack to Philly's football passion ever since, from the days of Chuck Bednarik to the 2017 Super Bowl triumph over Tom Brady's Patriots. And speaking of that Super Bowl, who can forget the Philly special trick play that stunned the world? This team's got history, and games like Sunday's against the Vikings add another chapter. This Eagles win feels like a scene straight out of Rocky, the underdog rising up, defying the odds, and landing haymakers. Jalen Hurts was Philly's Rocky Balboa on Sunday, climbing the steps of adversity and raising his fists in triumph. With the 2025 season heating up, it's like the Eagles are scripting their own Hollywood comeback story. Will they punch their ticket to the Super Bowl again? Only time will tell, but the vibes in Philly are electric. Eagles Nation, this is your team, and they're just getting started. With Jalen Hurts playing like a man possessed, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith lighting up the scoreboard, and the link ready to roar, you don't want to miss what's next. Tune in next week as the Eagles face another NFC East rival, and let's see if they can keep this momentum going. Follow us on Bleeding Green Nation socials, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, for the latest updates, and join the conversation with your fellow fans. What do you think? Can Hurts lead Philly back to the promised land? Let's hear it, and as always, fly Eagles fly.